Hi, welcome to our Windows Server 2016 course. What is new? So, previous video, we've mentioned what we will be covering during this course, and I have provided a sort of like a low level of the info, which will be covered. Today is the first part of this course, and as you can see, we have the course modules. And for today it will be around intro, and we will cover the rest within the coming series. For introduction, we have the following topics, and I will cover them for this session: launch date, license module, edition and installation options, activation, servicing, and then the last will be supported update or upgrade. So, Windows Server 2016. Server 2016 was in preview mode for a couple of years, and then Microsoft decided to release it last year into the production since October. And from October until now, we are getting the monthly updates and the accumulative updates. A few issues were basically highlighted around Feb, March, and that was around licensing and activation, which was addressed. Other than that, seems it's quite stable. So, what happened? What Microsoft decided to change around the 2016? Uh, we are moving toward core-based license. So Microsoft decided to change it. Also, the process-based around 2012 is no longer be the case for 2016, and the reason is because Microsoft Azure offer is around core-based, and this is basically is not new, because if you ever dealt with like oracles, and you had to purchase based on the core number on the hypervisor. So Microsoft are moving toward that, which makes sense. So you get charged or covered by your agreement or license with Microsoft, either your uh, enterprise agreement or assurance agreement or whatever agreement you have with Microsoft. It makes sense around the multi-cloud scenarios. Now, how that basically will look like, this changes going forward. You have to purchase a pack of basically 8 as a minimal requirement, which is equivalent to 2 processors. As far as I'm aware, as far as the feedback I had and confirmation, it should be no additional charges, but it might not be the case, which means to you have to always check with your either LAR or with your Microsoft directly to make sure you do understand the impact on 2016 deployment in relation to license. Now, when it comes to license, if you have a hypervisor, either Hyper-V or it could be VMware, then it makes sense to have an enterprise, or in the 2016 terminology will be the data center license. And the reason why, because with data center license, it is unlimited. It's supposed to cover all the VMs you'll be hosting within your hypervisor. But I've seen some sort of like customers or companies using standards and selective, which doesn't make sense. Yes, in data center, it's more than standard the charges, but think about the number of the servers you will be hosting and the benefit of the data center. Going back to that, a quick takeaway from that slide is you will be purchasing pack of 8 going forward, which means 8 by 2. Each pack comes with 2, and that will be 16. As you can see on that slide, a minimum of 16 core license required for each server. Next, what we have, no more enterprise, sort of like options. So what we have data center, and within data center, as I mentioned earlier, you have unlimited number of VM. Yes, it is unlimited number of VMs and Hyper-V containers. Now, if you are after shielded virtual machines, software-defined networking, storage space direct and storage replica, then you will need a data center license. Otherwise, with the standard, we have 2 VMs or Hyper-V container with essential or for terminal server license. You can have up to 25 users or 50 devices. Multi-point premium, this is academic license and that should take care of the requirements. Storage server, which is dedicated OEM storage solution, and with Hyper-V it's free. Same apply to the nested Hyper-V. Next, what we have around the installation options. We have desktop with full GUI installation, and this is equivalent or similar to your Windows 10. That's why it's called desktop experience. We have server core, and these two options are similar to the 2012 and the early release. Then the new two types are Nano Servers and Windows containers. We will cover each one of these deployments or OS in more details, scenarios, design, benefit, limitation in the later series. Now, the next few slides will cover the updates and when you will basically use them in high level, so you can see where you can utilize and how. Next is the activation. In relation to activation, if you have KMS 2008 or 8R2, these are non-supported to manage and maintain Windows Server 2016 license and Windows 10 as well. If you need to manage them by KMS earlier than 2016, then it has to be 2012 or 2012 R2. In order for 2012 and 2012 R2 to manage the the license for the 2016 and server and Windows 10, then you will require the update which are highlighted on that slide. Is the KB 3058.168 for Windows 10 and KB 317.2615 to be able to manage the server 2016. Otherwise, there is a new feature which is AD integrated, and it is similar to a security group wise, but in this scenario will be for machines, and it's around licensing. So you opt in the machines, they get a license, part of the group. You opt them out, they lose the license, and you can predefine them based on your AD structure. And I do cover that one at a later stage during that course. It is the way forward, which means we will basically seeing the KMS disappearing after a few years or whenever we are ready to migrate to 2016 server across the entire state or the domain, and same thing around Windows 10. Hopefully that should be clear to cover this. Next is around update. Again, with these we will be covering them in more details at later stages, but for the intro we have two types. We have long-term servicing or service branch and we have the current branch or current branch for business. With LTSP, this with regard updates, we have two types: long-term service branch or LTSP and current branch or current branch for business. For LTSP, it is similar to what you have currently around Windows 2012 and earlier release, which means it guarantees 10 years servicing for each release, 5 years mainstream plus 5 years extended support, and you will get a security update and reliability fix only, no feature update. All the monthly updates are cumulative, and all the universal app they have been removed. When Microsoft release the feature update, it will be every couple of years, and that should be all the new improvements, but will be a big release. Again, later on we will cover how big these updates are and what we need to do around deploying them. Now with LTSP, it does only apply to full GUI installation and core installation. Again, similar to what you have currently, core or full GUI, no nano and no container. But then when it comes to containers and nanos, it will be different, because containers, if you host them on the core, it will fall under LTSP. Okay, so theoretically LTSP for core and GUI, and current branch will be for the Nano servers. Let's have a look at the current branch. With current branch for business, they are meant only for Nano, and the reason why Microsoft introduced it, due to the fact it's for speed of the process to move to the cloud. It's all about nowadays cloud, being able to migrate, to utilize all the resource, having elastic or agile OS. Now pardon, with CBB, Microsoft will support two versions at the same times. What does that mean? Two versions at the same time. It's only 12 months worth of sort of like a time or period. So if currently Microsoft release CBB, this will be 6 months supported. Then the next support will be around 6 months, or the next release will be around 6 months. So that will be version 2 or CBB 2. Now I'll go CBB 1, CBB 2, 6 months plus 6 months, that will be 12 months. Now if Microsoft decided to release CBB 3, which means this will be 18 months, then they will stop supporting CBB 1, which means you will end up with 2 and 3. And later on, if they release 4, then you will end up with 3 and 4, and it goes incremental. Yeah. So that will basically introduce sort of like a new way of us managing updates, and later on we can cover one of these series what we need to do to update these, what tool we can use, online, offline, DSIM, the new portable utility, maybe SCCM, SCVMM, all these Microsoft tools, or it could be by PowerShell or other methods. No monthly updates are available for these. Again, before we move on from the update, we will cover that one later on, what you can do, how you can manage it, how we can manage group policy, how we can tweak it and extend this security update for shorter period of time before you will be up to support. Quick recap. Current branch for business will be for Nano Server, and long-term service branch will be for core and GUI. Next is installation, migration, cluster roll upgrade and update. Now you have the choice of in-place upgrade, which was available on 28, and Microsoft decided to remove it on the 2012, and then now it's back again. From experience, it does the job if you are using Microsoft utility or tools to work with in-place upgrade. It works really well. And if you have a limited resource and or non-critical apps or services, then it makes sense to use it. If you have something really critical, then maybe go for fresh installation, and that should be fine, and you can do side-by-side migration to your resource. This is the safest, which means you will have that flexibility around that side-by-side migration. You can test, face it, coexist, and maybe minimal impact, or you have the option of being bang and just you migrate it whenever you are ready after testing it. In place upgrade, which means you have to take the precaution around backup and restore and all these activity to make sure you got a fallback plan when something happens. Now there is a new feature which is called OS rolling upgrade. It's a great around clustering, which means no drainage to the services. You can migrate, update, upgrade without breaking the service, without draining the nodes, without impacting the users. Zero downtime. Again, we'll cover this in more details later on, but it is a great feature, and you can benefit only from this feature if you go 2012 R2 and above. Coexistence, yes, and you can benefit from it between 2016 and 2012, and only you benefit from it if you go 2012. Earlier, no. Last part around conversion, licenses conversion. Again, similar to the previous release, we can convert from standard to data center or the other way around using Netsh commandlet or PowerShell. But please do plan in advance before you start converting. But if you ever decide to convert, it is supported and possible to go up or down. This is what I have for you for today as a quick intro. Hopefully the coming topics will be more deep dive into the technologies and what is new around them. A quick recap. We've covered the release type of OS. We've mentioned the two types they've released Microsoft, which is container and Nano Server, in addition to core and GUI. We covered the type of the updates servicing, either current branch for business or LTSP, and then the supported update and upgrade paths, including clusters update. These are the sort of majors area which covered for today. Thank you for watching.